Hi everybody, I'm JT. Welcome to another video from us here at Campervan Journey. Oh, before I go any further, for those of you who don't know, this is Harry. Harry's my joint presenter, co-presenter today.
Better presenter.
Better presenter, yeah.
Comedian.
Comedian and the future of Campervan Journey. So if you have clicked to like and subscribe and are following us on our journey, in a few years' time then this young man will be sat here and he'll be the face of the channel. Maybe?
Maybe.
Maybe. So welcome to our California studio.
Yep.
We're sat here in our California beach and just wanted to give you, it is nice and cosy, we've had the heating on, so although it's chilly November day outside, we've remotely controlled our heating, turned it on, so it's nice and snug in here. But a few weeks ago we put out a video just talking about what we were thinking about potentially changing our California for. There's a few reasons that we're looking to do that, and we wanted to give you an update where we got to with a shortlist of the candidates for the next van. So not wishing to recap too much, we've owned this van now for coming up for 3 years.
Only that?
Yeah. And before that we had a VW T5 conversion in the same configuration with a pop top and a layout configured for 5 adults basically. So when we are a family of 5, but our eldest has now left home, and so we travel generally as a family of 4. We have a dog as well. So this configuration, the beach configuration, was the perfect setup for that, for 5. However, as now we've gone to 4, I think that one of the big attractions is to get some versatility, so we can take less stuff with us. And if you've seen any of our videos about the stuff that we take, we've travelled with a tent before and loads of other camping kit that we take, so we want to try and condense all that down so our setup and our pack down is a lot quicker, enabling us to travel further, see more places, have more adventures effectively. But there are a couple of other criteria that we have, and one of the big ones is that this is our family vehicle, so whatever we do buy to replace it will need to still remain as our main family vehicle, our family car. So we go to the supermarket in this, I go to work in it, we go on days out in it, so it's a in the true sense of the word, a multi-purpose vehicle. So our criteria are as follows, and I made a list of this. More daytime space. Yeah. So what I mean by that is, no, it's not big enough. If we're going out camping somewhere, we've got to put a tent up. There is not enough space.
It takes way too long.
And it takes a long time to do that. So I would like, and we experienced it the other day, we went out for the day, had a beautiful day out at the beach. When we put the stove up, and there were 4 of us in here, we had some nice soup for lunch. It was still really cramped. It made me think again about just how going the next size up, we'd have a bit more space to move around. And it's not a problem in the summer. It's not a problem in the late spring. It's not a problem in early autumn, because you can open the door and you can be outside. But if you want to extend the season, the time that we use the van for, then more inside space is going to be key criteria. Second key criteria is it needs to be comfortable for 4 people to travel in and for 4 people to sleep in.
We have lovely space between our legs.
So one of the real big selling points about this van, about the California beach, is this wonderful rear bench seat. So this bench seat is well over 1 metre in width, and it's really comfortable for 3 people to sit on, very comfortable for 2 people to sit on. Now I know if we go to a larger van, generally it's going to be a 2-seat, but it's got to be a comfortable rear seat travel setup. And some of the vans that we've looked at whilst they've got a seat there, it doesn't really look like it's set up.
It's really squashed.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's set up for comfortable travel. There is one that looks like it's a real standout for that, and I'll come on to that in a second. But comfortable travel for rear seat passengers. Obviously front seat's fine because you've got the driver and passenger seat, but we need more accommodation for the rear and enough space so that we can have a table, we can be set up, so table for eating, table for relaxing, table for just being out and about. Okay.
Doing anything.
Third criteria is I don't want it to be any more than 6 metres long, if at all possible. We are restricted on our parking space at home.
It's quite short.
So we can park a 6 metre van, but a 6 metre 40 van we wouldn't have space for.
Be a lot.
Going back to accommodation, ideally 4 berth as well. So that either means bed at the back with an alternative sleeping arrangement, or maybe even a pop top. And there are a couple of options that we've looked at where pop top is available as well, and that again just means that
gives you more space.
Yeah,
you can always push it up as well.
Yep, and we're not compromising our daytime accommodation space by doing it. And the final criteria is quality, and I put quality versus price. Now, we've got used to the build quality of this California. It's really nicely put together. I know there's lots of things on the forums about certainly the newer T6.1 and with the Grand California, some build quality issues, but generally
very expensive.
The way that these are put together, the way that these are screwed together is really good. And if you're used to well-built product, and often a German-based product, then you want to retain that. And I don't want to feel that whatever we make a change for, we're going backwards in quality. And I don't really want to go back to a converted van. So what's the shortlist? Okay, so shortlist number 1, there are 5 vehicles on this shortlist. I'll just give you a brief explanation as to why, and then hopefully over the next weeks and months we'll get an opportunity to experience all of them and then make a decision as to which one we're going to go for. Yep. So the logical first candidate is a California Ocean.
Yep.
Played around with the configurations for that. We've been to see a couple of California Oceans, so very familiar, obviously exactly what we're used to, same size, same driving, but all the way down the side here we would have the installation.
I would not be able to sit here.
You wouldn't be able to sit there, you'd be sitting over here.
I'd be sitting
but we'd have the kitchen, we'd have some storage.
2 tables.
Have 2 tables, we'd have a wardrobe space, we'd have a fridge. It would be a very logical step forward from this one. The big compromise from my point of view is that we've got to spend a lot to upgrade from this to a California Ocean, so almost it's a £20,000 step up in price from what we paid for our beach to get a California Ocean, and it doesn't give us the inside space that we're after, so it doesn't give us that step up in space. So I think that's probably the stumbling block, and what I am struggling with in my mind is spending £70,000 on a more equipped version of what we've got, whereas £70,000 would buy us something bigger. I don't want to spend £70,000. If I can spend less, then that'll be brilliant.
Yeah.
But
I mean, the bigger ones are like 60.
You can get bigger vans for less money, yeah. So,
and for more space.
Yeah. So we've got to decide and work out which is better. So that is, but it has to be, as a logical explanation, it has to be on the list. We need to have a look at a Grand California as well.
What?
But I don't think it's going to work, because the way that the Grand California is configured to get the 4 berth arrangement, you've got to have the roof extension, and it just becomes I just don't like the configuration, and then it's approaching a £100,000 van. So I don't think it's a goer.
No.
We did have a look very recently at an Adria Twin. There's a load of really good press about this, and loads of really good reports from owners. Good value, good size van. You can have it with a pop top, and we went and had a look at one fairly recently, and you can see here the Adria Twin Sports comes with a pop top configuration.
It's my favourite one.
Yeah, nice van, looks good.
Yeah.
good value on the tried and tested Fiat Ducato platform. The only compromise that I think we're going to make if we go for one of these with our criteria is the rear passenger accommodation. So the rear seat does look a little bit cramped, maybe, and because of a lot of the longer trips we do, especially our European trips, we can be doing 3-4 hours at a time before we stop for a break, and sort of bashing out 400 or 500 miles in a day. To do that sort of journey with 4 of us, it's important that the rear seat passenger comfort is good. So
I want to be comfortable.
you've got to be comfortable. I don't want you not to be enjoying it because you're uncomfortable. Yeah. So that, whilst it's a really good van and it's good value, it looks good, and we can have a pop top. I think that's possible compromise, but we'll have a closer look at that, and I have put together a couple of configurations on that. So that's candidate number 2. I say 2 because really the Volkswagen one, I don't think Grand California is really in there.
No.
We'll go and have a look. Third one is the Hymer Free Edition. Now again, Hymer, well-respected brand, German-based brand, using the Fiat Ducato chassis, and they do a couple of configurations. What I really like is there's one that they call the Blue Edition, which is quite a... They're all going to have toilets, apart from the California ones.
It's nice though.
I really like this one, and I'll put a closer picture up in a second. It looks good, it's got the pop top, and it's a 5.4 metre. They do a slightly longer one, which is 6 metres, and then that's called the Free Campus. And yeah, Hymer, as I said, have got a great reputation for their build quality, great reputation for the design of their vans, and that is definitely a strong candidate. Pricing wise, it's pretty good as well, because when they do their special editions, what it seems to do is you sort of get extra equipment bundled in. So you might have £3,000-4,000 worth of extra kit included, rather than ticking the individual options to go forward. We haven't managed to see one of those yet, and I'll talk about that in just a second. This is going to be part of the problem we've got, is trying to get to see them in detail. So that's the third choice, and then the final choice is the Westfalia Columbus. Now Westfalia, and again, just having an affinity with Volkswagen. Obviously the Westfalia have had a relationship with Volkswagen for years. The original Westfalia Campervans were based on the Volkswagen T2s, and I think that's right. And they've been around for years and years and years. So I would feel less like I'm the traitor to Volkswagen if we stuck with the Westfalia, because we'd feel like there's a connection. I think maybe that's a bit silly, but. Anyway, so there are 2 options that we've had a look at. There's the Westfalia Columbus in either the 540 length or the Westfalia Columbus in the 601. The really big thing with this van, and all of the Fiat based vans have a very similar layouts. You've got 2 driving seats at the front, you've got your dinette and 2 seats at the back, and then you've got a shower and toilet arrangement, which again would make it great for being self-contained for travelling, and I didn't really talk about that earlier, but that's a real consideration for us.
This is a big one.
And then the kitchen area down the side. So they all share very similar layouts, some sort of the little design tweaks and differences. The big thing with the Westfalia is on a couple of them, they've got a really clever, and I think they've patented it, folding seat system. So the rear seat
So pull these parts out, right?
Yes, so you've got 2 seats which are wider. They also recline, and they are more in design comparable to this type of seat, rather than sort of afterthought seats that some of the other vans seem to have. You can also pay a little bit extra to have it flip over, and I'll see if I can put a video up here for you, into a bed arrangement. So it's possible that you can then, not only is it more comfortable, you can adjust the incline of it so it's more comfortable for journeys. You can slide it backwards and forwards. It can flip up to form a bed. So a bit like having this sort of seat bench that we've got in our beach, but inside a slightly larger van. Now we need to see this in person to see how it works and to see whether it's a good idea. But at the moment,
seems good.
It seems great. On paper, it really looks like the Westfalia could be the favourite. One problem is that when I go down and tick all the options for the things that I'd like, it does get quite expensive.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I can see that now.
So there's quite a lot of zeros on here.
Yeah. Like a lot of zeros.
If you don't mind cancelling Christmas for the next 10 years, then maybe we'll be all right.
I want Christmas.
So the next stage in our process is to try and go and see all of these in person. We've managed to see the Adria Twin, and as I said, we were quite impressed with that. We saw that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
We've had a look at a California Ocean, and again, obviously that's very familiar with what we've got here.
Yeah.
We haven't had a look at inside a Grand California, but I don't think...
We've looked at one.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to work, but I would like to see it and eliminate it. So my next, our next objective is to see the Westfalia Columbus in person, and to try and see a Hymer edition in person as well. So if any of you have got any recommendations as to dealers that you've dealt with who have got these and have done a good job of looking after you, please drop them below in the comments, because it'd be great to hear about experiences that you've had. If any of you own these vans and have made the step from a California to one of these, then again drop it in the comments below, or any other suggestions based on what the criteria that we've set. But I think the challenge that we've got, due to the whole supply issue with components and parts that is affecting all manufacturers and extending lead times, is to try and see these in the near future. If we can't see them at dealers and test drive at dealers in the near future, then we'll have to wait until the spring summer season when they start showing at the exhibitions, and then we'll be able to go and see them in comparison. So maybe we'll have to do that, and I know that they tend to start in February time. So this is going to be an ongoing video journey and an ongoing decision. It's sort of, we'll park it over here with our Campervan journey. All of our other videos will continue about the adventures we're having, the places we're going. Hopefully you saw our most recent one. We've already booked our next trip away, and fingers crossed with the whole COVID restrictions thing, we'll be still able to go to the Alps in the new year. But our research for our next van, possible next van, is definitely very much underway. So to recap, 5 choices, narrowed down to probably realistically 4.
Yeah.
Another Volkswagen, an Adria Twin, a Hymer edition, or probably the favourite, the Westfalia Columbus.
Yeah.
So if you want to follow what we're doing and keep up to date with how our decision changes, or let us know any thoughts and comments that you've got, please drop them below. But please remember to hit the button to like, please remember to hit the button to subscribe, and join us as we try and make a decision about what we're going to have next.
Will it ever happen?
We will change the van, and I hope it'll happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But it will make, because one of the other things it does do is it affects how we plan to travel and what we plan to do in the summer. Because if we haven't changed the van by then, then we need to think about the tents, and then that's a whole new thing.
Yeah.
If we haven't changed the van, then we need to change the tent.
Yeah.
And that's something completely different. So, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Apologies if we've waffled on a bit.
Yeah.
I've waffled on a bit. But thanks for watching.
Yeah.
We'll see you on the next video really soon.
Goodbye.